Megyn Kelly appears to be out at NBC. Now, NBC, of course, is not her starting point. She was at Fox News for a while, and for some reason, executives at NBC thought that Megyn Kelly had an audience outside of the Fox News echo chamber. Now, this apparent departure follows her comments about blackface. Now, I don't think this is the reason she is going. I'm going to get more into that near the end of this video. But I do want to talk about her comments on blackface. So first, let me show you what she said on her show.
What is racist? Because truly, you do get in trouble if you are a white person who puts on blackface on Halloween, or a black person who puts on whiteface for Halloween. Like, back when I was a kid, that was okay as long as you were dressing up as like a character. There was a controversy on The Real Housewives of New York with Luann, as she dressed as Diana Ross, and she made her skin look darker than it really is, and people said that that was racist. And I don't know, I thought, like, who doesn't love Diana Ross? She wants to look like Diana Ross for one day. I don't know how, like, that got racist on Halloween.
Kelly issued an apology to co-workers saying, "I realize now that such behavior is indeed wrong, and I'm sorry. The history of blackface in our culture is abhorrent. The wound's too deep. I've never been a PC kind of person, but I understand that we need to be more sensitive in this day and age."
All right, I have several things to say here. So I don't think that Megyn Kelly's comments alone in a vacuum are that terrible. I think she is somebody that was asking a question. Now, the problem is there was nobody on the panel to answer that question and refute her. There were no black people on that panel. So if you're going to bring up blackface as a discussion, at least have somebody on the panel that knows what they're talking about in relation to blackface. Now, people are saying, I'm seeing comments saying Megyn Kelly definitely knew the history of blackface and definitely knew that it's wrong and she's just being racist. That may be the case. But if that's the case, then she fooled me, because I think that she really did not understand the whole the context in which blackface comes from, why it's an issue to begin with. Now, I'm going to get to a clip that will break that down in a second. But I want to comment on one more thing there. In her apology, she says that she's never been a PC kind of person. This is not this is not about overly sensitive people. There's an actual history to blackface and a reason that you should not do it. Now, Megyn Kelly being ignorant of that doesn't make the people that are bothered by blackface PC. This is not PC outrage. This is based in history. So Megyn Kelly can try and play this game where, oh, yeah, I'm not that kind of person, but I know better now. Like I said, I think maybe I'm changing my mind now as I'm saying this. I think I believe her when I'm saying that I don't think she truly understood the history of it. But, you know, my biggest flaw is that I give people the benefit of the doubt. And Megyn Kelly and her history on race issues is terrible. So maybe I shouldn't give her the benefit of the doubt. But before I get any farther on this, I want to show you a clip of Roland Martin, who she had on her show the day after to talk about this, and his explanation of why blackface is terrible.
What was very clear in what I read and what I heard is that the history here, when it comes to that term and this issue, is deeply disturbing.
I think the problem is, for African Americans, we know the history, and too many white Americans don't know or won't accept it. When the reality is, it is American history, yours and mine. When you look at blackface, white entertainers wore blackface to mimic African Americans, to caricature African Americans. When you look at the minstrel shows, black entertainers were forced to wear blackface because whites did not even want to see the humanity of black people, so therefore they had blackface. Last night, I looked at Spike Lee's 2000 movie Bamboozled, which dealt with this. And the Jada Pinkett Smith character actually talked about exactly how they created it. And what they did was they poured alcohol on 2 corks, burned it to a crisp, mashed it to a powder, added water, and mixed it to a thick paste, and then applied it to the faces of black people. Then they would take red lipstick and put it on the lips, but then on the outside of the lips to create this image. But this thing went beyond just that. You look at the Jim Crow Museum that's at Ferris State University. where this is American history, where black people have been assaulted in magazines, television, radio, all of these images that have continued for centuries and then, of course, decades, going up to the 1960s and to some degree in the 70s, and we still see it present day. And so this is American history. The problem is too many of us grew up learning his story and not actual history. And that's the problem that we have to accept. And when we are grown, when we are educated, we have to go beyond what we were taught, what we learned in our households, and say, I better be fully aware of real American history as opposed to being in denial about what actually took place in this country. The reason this story just boomeranged all around is because media has been the main driver of these racist caricatures throughout American history, and that's why it's such a huge story.
So Roland Martin, I think, there gives a good breakdown of why blackface is such a problem. And I mean, the biggest takeaway from that clip is how blackface was used on black people to hide their humanity. So there is an obvious, disgusting history that's associated with blackface. Now, a lot of white people are ignorant of that, and they don't see the problem. They don't understand why can't I want to dress up as Diana Ross, or I want to dress up as, I don't know, Black Panther. Why can't I have a blackface? No. Now, if you want to dress up as, you know, Black Panther or other black characters, go right ahead. Just don't use blackface. I don't understand why this is so hard to do. What people are just, they're crazy. Like, if you understand the history of something, you understand how this has affected people and how it still affects people today, why do it? Is it really going to bother you that much to not put on blackface? I mean, you have to understand, it's not only about what your intentions are. So even if Megyn Kelly's intentions here were pure, just to ask a question, she was curious about it, she has to understand how those intentions may fuel bad intentions, how her ignorance on an issue may fuel other people to also ask that question, and then they don't get their questions answered. Megyn Kelly got her question answered the next day. People that watched Megyn Kelly the day prior may have not seen this episode, may not have the answer to why blackface is bad, and are still asking the question that Megyn Kelly was asking the day before. So just because your intentions are pure doesn't mean that you're free from criticism. You have to understand how your intentions can be perceived and used, or how your actions can be perceived and used through bad intentions. Now, let me go to why Megyn Kelly appears to be out at NBC, or at least not have this show anymore. Doesn't have anything to do with this. Let's be real here. So, as Tommy Vitter here tweeted out, NBC hired Megyn Kelly after she declared that Santa is white and did countless racist segments on the new Black Panther Party. So forgive me for thinking this has more to do with her show being awful. Yeah. Megyn Kelly's ratings have been terrible since the beginning. So, as Splinter News writes, of course, if Kelly was beating all her competitors in the ratings, her bosses would probably not be so eager to show her the door. But she very much is not, as the New York Times pointed out on Wednesday night. On-air errors, even contentious ones, can sometimes be smoothed over if an anchor has big ratings. But in her first year at NBC, Ms. Kelly's portion of Today has averaged 2.4 million viewers, a drop of nearly 400,000 from the same hour's average before her arrival, according to Nielsen. Ms. Kelly has also trailed a rival morning program, Live with Kelly and Ryan, by a wide margin. The Times reported that even before the blackface drama, Kelly and the top brass at NBC were discussing how to wind down her show, which has been a failure from beginning to end. So that is the real reason that Megyn Kelly is likely to lose her show. Her ratings have been terrible since the beginning. Now, as I said at the beginning of this video, if that comment about blackface, her asking those questions, was the only thing wrong that she ever did, was the only racist thing that she ever said, it wouldn't be a problem, I don't think, because she, in my opinion, was asking questions that she was clearly ignorant about. Now, should she be ignorant if she's being paid $20 million a year? No, she probably shouldn't be. So, look, if it were up to me, she would never even had a show. But I'm saying in terms of NBC's position or any network's position, how they usually operate, if that was the only thing Megyn Kelly did, no, she would not lose her show. But this is a long line this is one in a long line of racist comments. And it just goes to show, look, ratings is what matters above all to these people. So if you are bringing in the ratings and you do what Megyn Kelly does, they wouldn't care. But Megyn Kelly doesn't have the ratings, and now this Blackface uproar is able to give NBC an out to say, oh, well, I guess it's time to end her show now. Even though all along they wanted to end the show. Now, I want to share this tweet from Qasim Rashid, because it really is, I mean, this shows you how fortunate, how lucky somebody like Megyn Kelly is. So he tweeted out, white privilege is having a long and unapologetic history of overtly racist comments and behaviors, and a major media organization hires you for $20 million a year anyway. Important read by Kirsten Powers in USA Today. And I'm going to link to that article below my video so you can truly understand Megyn Kelly's history on racism. So once again, this has nothing to do with her racism, but everything to do with her not bringing in the ratings. It all comes back to money.